The junkyard stretched to the horizon, a graveyard of forgotten machines, shattered dreams, and galactic waste. Rusted warbits slumped like sleeping giants. Ships with punctured hulls and dead engines rested like ancient bones. Above the wasteland, twin suns scorched the desert with pitiless heat. Beneath the rising dust, a human man walked alone. His name was Reed Garrow, a scavenger from Earth, scarred by war and now surviving on scraps. He spent his days searching for anything he could fix, sell, or salvage. On this particular morning, his sensor pinged, something buried deep but still intact. He knelt beside a mountain of rusted mech limbs, brushed aside jagged cables and scorched plating, and uncovered a smooth, spherical pod, bronze, glass, and humming faintly. "What in the void?" Reed whispered. The capsule was half sunk in dirt, its glass slightly fogged but unbroken. It was large enough for a person, and inside was one. Through the grimy dome, he saw her. A girl, alien, curled in fetal position, skin a soft lavender, hair like spun gold. She wore tattered fabric that looked ceremonial rather than practical. Her limbs were bound with old cords, her ankles bruised. But she breathed, barely. Reed pried at the rusted latches until the pod hissed open with a sigh, stale air spilling out. Her eyes fluttered but didn't open. "Still alive?" he muttered, stunned. "How in hell did you end up here?" Reed loaded the capsule onto his crawler and returned to his shack at the edge of the junk fields. It wasn't much, some walls, solar panels, and a water tank, but it was enough. Inside, he hooked her up to a med scanner, injecting saline and nutrients while adjusting the capsule's atmosphere for a more breathable mix. She twitched and gasped, as if surfacing from a nightmare. He spoke softly. "Easy. You're safe." It took hours, but her eyes finally opened, bright silver, full of confusion and fear. She tried to speak. Her lips moved, but no words came. Reed activated a translator drone. "You're all right now," he said, letting it relay the message in galactic common. "You were discarded, left for dead. I found you." She stared at him, and then, cautiously, nodded. By the second day, she had gained enough strength to sit. She still said little, but observed everything. When Reed offered her food, she studied it with suspicion before tasting it. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft and melodic. "You are human?" He nodded. "I am Leary," she said, "of the Ilari." Reed had heard of them. Once a noble species, prized for their biosymbiotic abilities. He hadn't realized any still lived. "Why were you thrown away?" he asked gently. Her gaze darkened. "I was born defective," she said. "The Ilari keep only the strong, the perfect. The rest are removed, cast out. My sentence was to drift in stasis until the pod failed. A quiet death, unworthy of return." Reed's stomach twisted. "They just dumped you. Like trash." She nodded. The junkyard was fitting, they believed. A broken thing among broken things. Reed's jaw clenched. He'd seen cruelty in many forms, but this chilled him. "You're not broken," he said firmly. "You're alive, and you matter." Her eyes shimmered with something close to disbelief. Weeks passed. Leary recovered quickly. She was bright, curious, and astonishingly adept at sensing energy systems. She could touch dead machines and feel where their circuits had burned out, often pointing to faults before Reed even scanned them. Together, they began fixing things. Drones, old bots, even part of a derelict ship they might one day fly. But more than the tech, it was the company that mattered. Reed found himself smiling more, laughing. He taught her Earth idioms. She told him Ilari myths, stories of star serpents, and dream trees. He noticed how the desert sunlight looked golden in her hair, and how her voice quieted the ache in his chest. And Leary? She began to trust, to laugh, to live. Then, one night the stars flared with fire. A dropship landed hard near the junk field, sleek, black, and bearing the emblem of the Zathari Guild, an elite bounty-hunting faction. Reed's blood turned cold. He powered down all lights and pulled Leary inside. "Stay hidden," he told her. "Whatever happens, don't show yourself." But she already knew. "They found me," she explained. The Ilari didn't like loose ends. Sometimes they sent guilds to confirm the defective ones were truly gone. The bounty wasn't for a crime, but for her very existence. The bounty hunters fanned out quickly, armored and armed, scanning for anomalies. Reed met them near the ridge with a salvager's ID and a gruff voice. "Just me here, scrapping. Got permits." The lead hunter, a reptilian brute, scanned him and sneered. "Detected recent power surge. Life signs. Someone else here?" Reed shrugged. "Might be a lizard. Or my old toaster. Lots of junk hums in this graveyard." The hunter stared, unconvinced. "Mind if we search?" Reed stepped aside. "Help yourself." As they spread out, Reed used a hidden remote to trigger a distraction. One of the old warbits suddenly lit up and began limping through the yard, drawing their attention. It bought him 5 minutes. He sprinted back to the shack. "We have to go." He grabbed Leary's hand. "Now." She resisted. "You'll die if they catch us both. Better than leaving you behind." Leary stared at him. Then she nodded fiercely. They fled through the scrap maze, weaving between rusted Titan arms and shattered freighters. But the guild had flyers, heat seekers. They closed in fast. Reed tripped over a fuel coil. Leary pulled him up. "We can't outrun them," she said. "But I can stop them." She placed her hand on a half-buried mech, an old combat unit, long dead. "Biosync," she whispered. "Let me try." Her skin glowed faintly, veins lighting like circuits. The mech's eyes sparked, then glowed, then roared to life. She slumped, exhausted but smiling. "It's yours now," she said. Reed climbed into the cockpit as the hunters approached. The mech's cannons whirred, its eyes locked on targets. In moments, the guild squad scattered under fire. The lead hunter cursed and fled to his dropship, but not before Reed launched one final shot, blowing its engine into flaming shrapnel. The guild was gone. After the dust settled, Reed carried Leary back to the shack. She woke hours later, weak but alive. He sat beside her, holding her hand. "You didn't just fix that mech," he said, awe in his voice. "You saved us both." She smiled faintly. "I was broken, remember?" He shook his head. "No, you were abandoned. There's a difference." She looked into his eyes. "And now?" Reed hesitated. "Then, now you're home." In the weeks that followed, they rebuilt. Not just the shack, but a ship, a hybrid from parts, wires, and old dreams. They named it the Phoenix Drift. One day soon, they would leave the junkyard behind, together, not just to escape, but to explore, to live, to remind the stars that those deemed worthless were often the most powerful of all. Leary, the discarded girl once trapped in a pod, now walked freely under the sky. And Reed, the broken soldier turned scavenger, had found something worth more than all the scrap in the galaxy. Someone to believe in.